Good Morning Show. What a happy day. I am blessed. The Lord woke me up, planted my feet on the floor, and allowed me to get to this Black Talk radio station this morning. I am Will Sutton. This is WBOK, 1230 a.m., the Good Morning Show, and we are having a good morning. Those temperatures getting nicer and nicer to me. I don't know about y'all, but I'm okay with some cool weather, even some short-term um, cold weather. But extended cold weather, no, not for me. I gave that up after living in the Midwest and the Northeast and even a little bit in the Mid-Atlantic. And I am happy, 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 happy to be home in New Orleans, in part because of the weather. And I am happy that it's February and we're going to be moving up to the 70s. Oh, my. Yeah, looking glorious to me. So I am happy to be here with you. And I am flying solo on this side of the glass, but I got company. I got company because producer Gerard is on the other side of the glass. All right, he's going to be keeping me company, keeping me on track, making sure that we are moving things along today. We got a good show for you today. And in particular, we've got an author, Daryl Sims, who is the author of a book that is best in the business world um, called Black Experience Strategies and Tactics in the Business World. So we're looking forward to having a conversation with Professor Sims about his book and see if we can get him to talk a bit about the impact of the Trump administration on the black workforce in these great United States. So looking forward to that. We'll also have the interim director of the Providence Foundation, Mr. Dexter Hall. He's scheduled to be with us today. And we're going to talk with him about the housing and urban development, U.S. housing and urban development, housing, and the housing cap, and the impact that we should be aware of. So we're looking forward to that as well. And if things go well, things go right, and all things are lining up, we'll have a special guest, a New York Times journalist, nationally known, internationally known, actually. And he's going to bring us some conversation and information from a place that's been in the news for the last several weeks. So looking forward to that as well. So meanwhile, of course, there is always a lot of news happening in this city, in this state, in this country, and in this world. And we've got news for you. So let me go ahead and hit on some of those things before we move into other parts of the show. So the Saks Fifth Avenue store, the beautiful, wonderful, international brand, Saks Fifth Avenue, over there on Canal Place on Canal Street. Beautiful store. Been there quite a while. Well, they're closing. They are closing their doors, and they're closing for good. So that's going to be a big hole in downtown in terms of name brand stores. It's going to be a big hole at Canal Place for sure. Saks Fifth Avenue has been there since the 1980s. But the parent company, Saks Global, and a lot of times we recognize the store names, but we don't recognize the parent names. But Saks Global owns Saks Fifth Avenue, and Saks Global filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection last month. And they said they would close 8 Saks Fifth Avenue stores, 8 of them. And one of them is in our fair city, New Orleans. And they're going to close a Neiman Marcus as well. Not sure where the Neiman Marcus is, but our Saks is on the list. So it'll be open until the end of April. So for all of you Saks Fifth Avenue fans and shoppers and gawkers who just like to go in there and look, you got until the end of April. So my guess is that they will be having some sales, but also getting rid of inventory between now and then. So if you wait till the end of April, some of the best stuff might be gone. So quite a development for downtown. The management of the Canal Place shopping center has been monitoring what's been going on with Saks Global. So Mr. Matt Brown said they've been, quote unquote, proactive in preparing for this possibility. That's what he told my colleague, Jonah Meadows from the Times-Picayune. They've been active. They've been monitoring. So they've been looking at that and anticipating the possibility. So they knew this was possible. So they've been looking at other ways to deal with that space. So another part of this is a further development of the decline of some brand name stores because the famous jeweler Outlers, announced it was closing its store on Canal and the Metairie location after 120 years in business. That's a long time, folks. We're talking generations. So those stores are closing. Saks is closing, and that's a heck of a thing. So be aware of that. And also for those of you all who are out and about, boy, I hope you weren't one of the 200 folks or so who had their cars and vehicles towed on the weekend. That's the number we're getting. So we're going to look into that a bit more as well. And we also heard from Mayor Helena Moreno warning crews about improper parade behavior. Of course, this comes after the Crew of Cowerton mess from the weekend. And so those are a couple more things we're going to be touching on right after the break. It is 7:09 a.m. We're going to be going to the break momentarily. 7:09 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 7:15. You got a few minutes, so I hope you're close. And please, as always, please watch out for our babies, our kiddos on their way to school. Some of them not paying attention. They got those cell phones in their hands. It's like there's an appendage to their face. But pay attention to them. Pay attention to yourself. Don't do things that you know you shouldn't do while driving or even in the car. The talk line is 504-582-9422. You got something you want to share, something you want to say, something you want to ask, give us a ring. It might be your question. I'll do my best to give you an answer. But if I can't, I'll give you a response. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Good Wednesday morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. The Archdiocese of New Orleans says Pope Leo has officially accepted Archbishop Gregory Amon's resignation. Most Reverend James Checchia will hold his first Mass as Archbishop on Ash Wednesday at St. Louis Cathedral. The announcement comes after the Archdiocese announced Amon would retire at the conclusion of the bankruptcy case. We know Amon held his last meeting with the clergy sex abuse survivors yesterday. All right, parades kick off once again tonight. The crew of Druids will roll uptown at 6:15 p.m. with the crew of Allah following them. And then on the West Bank, the crew of Nandi rolls at 6 p.m. Be sure to download our free Parade Tracker app with front and back end tracking, plus new enhancements like location sharing and closest parking. All right, y'all, the Zulu Coronation Ball presented by Delta Utilities airs this Friday night at 7 on MeTV New Orleans and streaming live on Very Local and our website. That's WDSU.com. WDSU anchor Gina Swanson, along with Elizabeth Kubel, will be live from the ball. MeTV is channel 6.2 over the air, channel 108 for Cox, and 197 for Comcast. You don't want to miss, of course, the annual Zulu Ball. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day and a fantastic.
Hey everybody, it's Graylin Bryant Banks.
And Kimber White Dupree.
From the front porch, y'all. You know how we do every Monday. It's Moving Monday.
And Tuesday is Trivia Tuesday.
And y'all know we have nothing but bad cheering coming through here on Wednesday.
But stick with us. On Thursday, we travel.
That's right. And Friday's Free Your Mind Friday, so get your brass up.
Something on your mind? Want to get it off your chest?
Holla at your people. WBOK 1230 AM, the station you listen to.
All day long.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. This is Will Sutton. I am here solo, but that's okay because I know I got you and our WBOK family of listeners and Jared on the other side of the glass. Happy and blessed to be with you this morning, and as promised, we're going to talk some more about some of the news that is going on, has been going on, and of course, we have a follow-up on what happened with that crew of Carrollton where that float number 10 was stopped by police after some rather rowdy behavior, including reports of aggressively throwing beads at New Orleans police officers. And, of course, Eddie Francis told us about someone's niece getting hit in the face on the nose yesterday. So it was not too cool, but here's a report from WWL TV I thought I would share with you about the mayor's warning. So it's relatively short, so take a listen. And I want you to listen for the word idiot. Idiot. That's right, idiot.
Mardi Gras is supposed to be a time of celebration, but Mayor Moreno says some riders and the crew of Carrollton,
a bunch of idiots out there on the parade route, go try to ruin it for everyone by trying to hurt people.
41 riders were removed from Float 10. The mayor says it wasn't just that float causing issues.
I was really ticked off about it.
According to NOPD, riders were intentionally throwing aggressively. The mayor says she was sent a picture of a little girl who was injured. The mayor says NOPD has her full support to take necessary action to keep the route safe, even if that means citing or arresting someone.
I want to make it very clear to those who are on floats that if there is one person on a float who is acting in this manner, that gives the NOPD the ability to yank the whole float. So one bad apple can spoil it for the whole bunch.
While Moreno is putting her foot down, NOPD Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick says crew of Carrollton members won't see any criminal charges.
There's not going to be any criminal charges associated with the event. We just want to remind everyone that we want our Mardi Gras to be safe.
But the riders may face further consequences from the crew. Monday afternoon, the crew of Carrollton announced an internal review saying they're, quote, treating these allegations with the utmost seriousness and cooperating with authorities, echoing the sentiments they shared with us Monday afternoon.
We're going to deal with it, and if somebody's wrong, they're going to pay the consequences.
The crew says if these allegations are substantiated, they will pursue the strongest internal disciplinary measures under their bylaws, which can include expulsion for the responsible members. On the parade route, Alyssa Curtis, WWL, Louisiana.
Well, thank you, Alyssa Curtis. Good report. Thank you so much for that. But, I have some mixed feelings about this with people acting badly. And not just a person, but a bunch of people. And apparently this one float was the primary reason folks that were removed from the float asked to leave. The police made sure that they were no longer able to parade. Some reports say that a number of those people are people from out of town who parade with Carrollton. But I don't think it matters. If you're from here, you from Baton Rouge, Freeport, Texas, Alabama, Chicago, Iowa, Idaho, if you agree to parade, then you should agree to be a part of the fun. Riding in parades does not give you cover to act poorly. Doesn't give you cover to act poorly. And so many people go out for a good time. Some people are not trying to catch anything. They just want to see the beautiful floats. They want to see the beautiful, happy people. They want to hear the incredible music, watch the cool dancers. They want to have a good time. But when you start throwing things at people and they don't catch them, that's one thing. If you have their attention, they're looking for, they're begging for, throw me something, mister, I want one of those. And they're asking for that and they get hit. That's different. But if you're grabbing a pound of beads, bags of beads, or whatever else, and deliberately throwing it at, of all people, New Orleans police officers, I got a problem with that. I got a problem with that. And that just doesn't seem right. And I don't know. I still feel some kind of way that some kind of action maybe should have been taken. And I'd love to know what you think. Is this a situation where somebody should have been arrested and charged with something to send a message and let them go through the justice system? Even if one of their three charges were dropped and they had to stick and stay with one. I mean, it just, how do you send a message? So the crew says they're going to deal with it internally. You heard Chief Kirkpatrick. Nobody's going to be arrested. With all of that mayhem, nobody is going to be arrested. And I have to say, because I know I'm not the only one thinking it, what if that was a Zulu float? What if that was an Osho float? What if it was a Nefertiti float? Would all 41 of those people on a float not be arrested? I'm just saying. I know I'm not the only one who started thinking about that. I respect Chief Ann for the job that she's been doing and continues to do. And I respect her decision. But I don't know. And I'm waiting to see what the crew does, since there won't be any arrests or charges. I hope they will be kind enough to share some of their crew business with us in time to let us know what they found. Because if they internally find all of those people were, so to speak, not guilty, when there's all kinds of video out there, that's a problem. So without police arrest and charges, seems to me we're counting on the crew to be the grown-up on the float and in the parade, to be the authority figure and to take action. But maybe I'm wrong. What do you think? What do you think? The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. I want to know what you think about that. Should they be arrested and charged? Is it okay for the crew to take these matters into their own hands and take whatever time they want to say whatever they decide? Do we trust them to be fair? And what about if it was one of ours, so to speak? All right, we got a caller. Good morning, Lynn. You're on with Will Sutton on the Good Morning Show. How are you?
Hey, great morning,
Lorraine.
Will. This is Lorraine.
Oh, hey,
How are
Lorraine.
you?
I'm sorry. I misread. I got to put my glasses on.
That's okay.
How you
That's
doing?
Okay. Yeah. I'm doing great this morning. I like what you're talking about this morning because that's a real big issue. Because, for years, if we look back in history, our people, we weren't able to be at the parades at some point, and then Zulu came on. Now, I pose this question. What if that would have been Zulu's parade? How would they have handled that?
Mm-hmm.
I really think it would have been different. I really think they would have arrested the float members, and they probably would have fined Zulu. Did their own investigation. So, it's no bias right there. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really think a different step. I really think the superintendent should take a different approach because that's dangerous. That's one of the reasons why I don't go to parades because of getting hit in the face or just hit by bees, in the cross path.
Lorraine, when's the last time you went to even one parade?
Oh my God. That long.
More than 5 years?
More than 5 years.
More than
yes,
10?
Sir. Well,
12?
Well, actually, the only parade that I may go to is Namtime.
Okay, I get it.
Because
that Algiers thing.
And because that's and it's been about 3 years since I've been to a Namtime parade.
Right, and it's I don't remember any kind of reports of injuries, altercations. It's such a family atmosphere with Namtime.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I get that.
But but put that out there. What if that would have been Zulu?
Right.
What if that would have been Femme Fatale?
Yeah.
I know the ladies of Femme Fatale would not throw beads like that. But what if it would have been one of our people?
Yes.
Parade.
Yep. Well, I'm there with you, Lorraine. I'm there with you. I just I didn't think this would go by without any arrest. But thank you so much for calling in, sharing your perspective. Lord blessings. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, folks, it's time for us to go to a break, and we're going to do just that. This is Will Sutton. You're listening to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK, 12:30 a.m. And when we come back, we're going to be talking with Professor Darrell D. Sims, who's going to be talking about his book, Black Experience, Strategies and Tactics in the Business World. Can't wait to jump in the conversation with him about Black business, Black strategies, Black tactics. Yeah, let's see what he's got to say. That's going to be coming up shortly right here on WBOK, 12:30 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
The warm weather continues. As we go throughout the afternoon, expect partly cloudy skies. Yes, mostly cloudy first, eventually start to see more clearing. Highs today about 75 to 79 degrees. We'll see a few spotty showers for the afternoon. For tonight, 52 to 58 degrees. Another chance for some fog to develop. For tomorrow, a high 70 to 75. And then for the weekend, looking at rain, mostly for Saturday night into early Sunday morning. For the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Reed.
New Orleans never sleeps, and neither does WBOK. Now, every voice, every moment, and every show is in your pocket. Search WBOK Media wherever you get podcasts. Download, share, rate us 5 stars. Because when you support us, you amplify Black voices and the New Orleans culture.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month from the Community Scientist and Rise St. James. This month's focus is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, formed when fuels like oil, gas, wood, or trash are burned. These chemicals can enter the air we breathe and settle into our soil and water. Many PAHs are known carcinogens, adding to the health burdens faced by communities living near industry. Learn how to protect your health at risestjames.org.
Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Louisiana's Julia Letlow. What do they have in common? Liberal Julia Letlow voted with Joe Biden more than any other Louisiana Republican in the U.S. House. And just like Nancy Pelosi, Letlow has traded hundreds of stocks while serving in Congress. Worse, Letlow violated federal insider trading laws by failing to report her shady stock trades, potentially millions of dollars worth. But that's not all. Before she went to Congress, liberal Julia Letlow was a university bureaucrat. She instituted radical DEI policies, woke sensitivity training, and the university put up a public art display honoring Defund the Police activists. Is that what Louisiana wants in the U.S. Senate? Conservatives just can't trust liberal Julia Letlow. Louisiana Freedom Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. LouisianaFreedomFund.org.
Hi, I'm Imani Godin, founder of GoDance. GoDance is a nonprofit interdisciplinary dance organization rooted in New Orleans, providing access to dance education and sustainable, wellness-centered art practices. Right now, you can be a part of this work by participating in our Key to Your Heart house raffle. Our programs are open, inclusive, and community-centered, supporting artists, students, and creators at every stage. Your involvement helps expand access, education, and opportunity for artists of all ages. To learn more and get involved, visit GoDance, GAUDANCE.org.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK, 12:30 a.m. It is 7:31 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 7:30. You're late. but that's okay for those of you who need to be there at 7:45, 8 o'clock, 8:15, 8:30. You got a little time. You can listen to the Good Morning Show while you get yourself together. And even on your way there, just please, please, please drive safely. Beautiful day out there. We're going to have weather going up into the 70s, but there's no reason for speeding, driving carelessly, trying to put on your makeup or trim your beard while you're driving. No need for any of that. Do that at home and take care of your driving attention business on the way to work, or if you're going to your medical appointment, or if you're just going to the community center, and play spades. That's all right. Go ahead. Just make sure you drive carefully as you do that, please. All right? So as promised, I told you we're going to be in touch and in conversation with Darrell Sims. He is a retired professor, a longtime IBM employee, and he's got a new book out that we're going to be talking about, Black Experiences, Strategies, and Tactics, so in the business world. So he's in studio with me today. Thank you for coming in, and good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, and good morning to all of you out there in New Orleans. It's good to be home. I've been gone for 15 years in the Philippines.
Yeah.
I have a nice spot on the beach that I live in, but as happens as we age a bit, we start having to deal with some of the problems of the body. So
yep.
I have come home to have medical treatment here, and I got bored, so I finished writing another book.
How about that? Bored turned into action.
Yep.
Okay. So, Brother Sims, who your mama and them? I mean,
so
you say New Orleans, you say home.
Yep.
Who your mama and them?
Okay.
Tell us who your people, where you from?
So I am a product of the Fisher Housing Project over in Algiers. I'm a product of Landry High School.
Hey, Landry, shout out.
I was the drum major in 1972.
Wow!
Yeah, so I'm real happy to be back in New Orleans. I'm enjoying my family again after being gone for so many years. I grew up right over there on Atlantic Street and Homer Street and the Cutoff and all those places y'all know.
Okay.
And my dad married a wonderful woman named Elenice Brooks Sims. A lot of you know her because she was the superintendent of schools.
Yeah.
And my sister is Stacy Sims, who is the president of the charter schools over in the East.
Yeah.
And so I grew up right in Algiers until I was 19. And at the tender age of 19, after graduating, I joined the Navy to see the world, and I saw the world. And that's how I ended up in the Philippines. I married a beautiful Filipina. I brought her back here. She's here in Arizona, not married to me anymore.
Yeah. Well,
she's an American now.
Yeah.
And you know how that goes.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. So with that background, and you said you worked at IBM, how did that start? And how long did you work at IBM?
Well, I'll give you the quick tour. After graduating with a degree in industrial engineering, the first black to graduate with an industrial engineering degree out of the University of Washington, I ended up at Westinghouse first. I was a nuclear power safety engineer. And while I was recruiting for Westinghouse, IBM recruited me. And they brought me in to the Seattle, Maine sales and marketing office as a systems engineer, and I was on the banking team. So if you've heard of Bank of America, I was one of those engineers who put in their first computers. I am one of the fathers of the PC XT. I help announce that product.
Really?
Yep.
Well, remind people who might be younger than us.
Yeah, younger than us. So the PCXT was that computer that first time we had a hard drive. For those of you who know anything about that.
Yeah. Because before that, it was all
Right.
kinds of big stuff. And
and it had two floppy disks.
Yeah,
and,
right.
like that. And I was the West Coast systems engineer. I had Alaska, Washington, and California.
Yeah.
So spent an illustrious year in IBM, and I realized when I got into IBM that there weren't many black folks. There weren't many black folks to talk to. There was nobody kind of steering me. And I asked somebody, I said, is there a book I could read that could help me out? And my white manager said to me, you know what, Daryl? You better be the one to write it.
What? Isn't that something?
And that's how that project got started.
Oh, okay. So let's move on into this book. The title, Black Experiences, Strategies, and Tactics in the Business World. So this is a corporate perspective. So let me challenge you a bit on the title.
Okay.
And help our WBOK family of listeners put this into context. So this book maybe could have been titled Experiences, Strategies, and Tactics in the Business World.
You're a sharp commentator, Mr. Well. You got my whole marketing strategy already wrapped up in that question.
You decided to name it Black Experiences, Strategies, and Tactics in the Business World.
Correct.
I think that was intentional.
That was totally intentional, and it was to show some love to my black people, starting off right here in New Orleans. Yes, and I even had debates with the publisher and everybody about the title because they said, well, you're gonna cut off a lot of your audience because they're going to see black. And if white people were to look at the book, they don't realize that everything you got in there, it's all for the business world. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to focus in on the black people in the workforce, going into the workforce, once you're in the workforce, what you do while you're there, how you're doing things. In fact, Will was encouraging you guys to be on time. I have a part of the book called Planning, Preparation, and Performance.
Hey!
And the first thing I talk about is how do you get to work on time?
Hey, so important.
Very important.
There's some jobs where you can be late and be late all the time, but I don't know how you move along and keep that job and then move into a different role, better role, higher paying role, or move to another company without being on time. Who wants somebody to hire somebody you're 15 minutes late for the interview?
Look, in the business world, if you on time, you late. That's what everybody would tell you. You got a meeting around a business table where you're strategizing about how to sell computers to Bank of America, Blue Cross Blue Shield, or any of those corporations. You better be punctual. You better be where you need to be at the right time, because that is not only expected of you, it's demanded of you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So your first chapter after the acknowledgments, purpose, and who should read this book is the first generation. And you specifically point to obstacles, black chip, and glass ceiling. What is that about?
So this is really important because this is where it all sets up. As you know, with the current administration that we have in the White House, all the programs that were aimed at helping people of color, women, to not only get in, but stay in and perform and do well. So I really wanted to step back and say, look, there's some obstacles. We got to know them. We got to be aware of them, but they shouldn't be holding us back. This black chip is the whole idea that, yes, we come from slavery, but that now has to become not a defeating thing for us. That has to become our motivation. So my whole thing is, we're not angry black people no more. We're mad, motivated, and devoted.
Hey.
MAD. Okay?
I like that. Say that again.
We're mad, motivated, and devoted.
Okay.
Okay?
All
Get
right.
smart
Yeah.
and let all that stuff in your history be the driving force to be successful.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, if a young black person who is even in high school, in college for sure, majoring in business management, or something business, how can this book be helpful for them?
So when I wrote the book, I wrote it as a handbook. You'll be able to be sitting in the job and something will be going on at work that you may not have it going the way you want it, and you'll be able to look at the table of contents and say, oh, Daryl Sims wrote about that. He wrote about overcoming stigmas. Black folks are lazy. Black folks, they don't like to assimilate into the business.
Mm-hmm.
They want to dress the way they want to dress. Black folks, they tend not to be organized. You know all the stigmas that come with that. I got a part in here that's called Twice as Good is Good Enough. Okay? Yeah. So you need to just make sure, they've been telling us for a long time, well, you black folks need to get off all this historical stuff and y'all need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, this book is a bootstrap. This book is you go in it. Look, you want to be on time? Read my section on planning, preparation, and performance. That's all what I learned in IBM about doing all the stuff of strategic planning. You want to be on time? Make a goal for yourself. Be on time to work at least the first month, all right? What do you want to do? You need an objective. It's got to be measurable. Okay, I'm going to be on time. The measurable is 30 days. It's a number, okay? What's my strategy? I need to go buy a clock. I need to make sure that my phone is something I can really use to wake me up. And then I need to do the tactics. Well, what's the tactics? Well, don't get up 15 minutes early and you need coffee and everything. Get up an hour early so you can sit back and
give yourself some time.
Get yourself
together.
And as Will said, you got to drive to work while you're listening to Will.
Yeah.
All right. So before you turn on WBOK, make sure you got everything else going as you go to work.
Wow. Okay. All right. So another part of your book, and of course, we're older than some of the younger folks, and when we were young, we had certain styles. Number of us had afros. Some of us had big, huge afros and New Rouge shirts, and we were kind of dressing up of the times. But one part of what you wrote about is dress code.
Yes.
In the business world.
Yes. And look, don't let us make you think that the business world is IBM, it's Hewlett-Packard, it's Boeing. The business world is the bakery shop you work in. It's the restaurant in New Orleans. It's the hotels. Those are all part of the business world. Those are all businesses. They all have requirements. They all have things you need to do. You need to wear the right shoes when you're in the kitchen. You know you need to have your apron on. You know you need to have a hairnet. That's all the business world. So we love style. if you look at me, I don't wear ties no more because I'm retired. I have a little black button. I have my shirt. I have my band shirt. So I created my style. In the business world, you can do that. We had the Crown Law come out. Ladies, I love what you all are doing with your hair these days with all these beautiful braids. That's new to me. I've been gone for 15 years. Y'all created a whole new art form. So in the business world now, you got to go in there with the right style. Don't have all them dreads to be too long if you know you're going to be doing something and the dreads going to get in your way. Roll them up.
Like with machines.
With the machines, right? You know the dreads got to be up there under the little caps you guys wear and not causing you trouble. And you need to be able to understand what the requirements are to make things go well while you're in the workplace. I call myself a workforce consultant, not to the business side, to you, the people who are working. I wrote the book for those of you who go to work every day. Or you're trying to go to work. Will was asking me about, well, what about our high school kids? Everybody don't go to college, okay? Well, I want to get my high school kids ready. I want to help them with their resume. The book talks about making your resume. And, you know, I got an extensive resume. I've done so many things in my life, Hewlett-Packard, IBM. I was executive assistant to the commissioner. My goodness. Professor Sims of physics. You look at my paper and it almost drowns you. But you come out of high school and you need to say, what do I want to do? What do I want to be? The book talks about that. How to get ready.
Okay. So you worked in the business world, which is the basis for your book.
Right. The motivation.
The motivation for it. And you transition into workforce consultant, professor, and all. And you did it abroad in the Philippines. How does those set of experiences, that transition and those sets of experiences after your business world experiences, how does that factor into what you decided to write?
So that's a great question. First of all, I didn't become a professor first abroad. I became a professor up in Oregon at Oregon State University. Okay. So I started there.
Okay.
And I did my IBM years, and I became a systems engineering manager working on a Freightliner team. You know those big old trucks out there? Well, they build them right up there in Oregon. So I started that. When I went to when I went to the Philippines, I was already retired from Motorola. The first time Bluetooth came to New Orleans, it was in my pocket. You can go read the article. Look up Daryl Sims. You'll see that I was the director of the marketing program for Bluetooth. There was no Bluetooth in no cars, no nothing. In fact, my sister has my first demo at her house right here in New Orleans. I told her I got to get it back and give it to the Smithsonian. Okay, so Bluetooth came in my pocket. I was the one leading that effort, and I worked with Nokia, Samsung, and all those places to get all that done. When I went over to the Philippines, I bought a house on the beach. It was a pool hall, okay? And my young wife at the time, we won't talk about my wives, but she came home and said, "Hon, we got a physics problem, and our teacher is saying it's wrong." I looked at the physics problem. It was an electric problem, I over R equals V. And what happened was her teacher was wrong. So I sent them back to school. I said, "Now, don't be mean to the teacher, but tell the teacher that your husband said he's wrong, and show him what I wrote for you guys." Well, guess what happened? The dean of the school called me and said, "Mr. Sims, we hear you teach physics, and we want to offer you a professorship here at Cebu Technological University, one of the big old schools in the Philippines." And so I came out of retirement, and I built helped build an engineering program, industrial engineering program, the first program in that school. And we turned out 500 Filipinos, and every one of them got a job.
Wow. Well, that's incredible. Well, we want to thank you for coming in today. Great conversation, very helpful. I've been at this work game for more than 50 years, and I'm finding some helpful information. I can't wait to dig in some more.
And that's the beauty of the book.
And see how I can continue to improve, you know.
Right until you retire, even to what you should be investing in, how much you should have your 401k, I try to address all that.
Yeah. Well, it looks like quite a comprehensive book, and looks relatively easy to read. I love your table of contents, and for those who don't want to go from beginning to end, if there's certain subject matter that you're curious about, interested in, the way you have it set up, you can easily go to that part. I'm dealing with time. Let me go to that part. What about dress? Let me go to that part. How about competing?
Yep.
It's business.
It's business.
It's like, but there is competing.
Yes.
Yeah, you're all on the team, but you are competing.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? And dealing with change.
And
I like
change.
that. Yeah, I like that. So thank you so much, Darrell Sims, author of Black Experiences, Strategies, and Tactics in the Business World, a New Orleanian, most recently living in the Philippines, and home for a bit. So we appreciate you making some time to join our WBOK family of listeners. Best of luck. Before we let you go, how can people get the book?
Oh, thank you. Let me give you my commercial. So first of all, on February 21st, I'm having a book signing in Algiers. And come one, come all, 2400 Guadalcanal, right behind Delgado. Okay. You look for the information, you'll find it. My phone number is everywhere. My email is everywhere. Secondly, I have a very good publisher already available from Amazon, already available from Barnes & Nobles, already available from Apple, already available from Google Talk. So the book is easily done. New Orleans has already stepped up, and every one of your libraries will be carrying the book. And we're going to do that.
That address, is that a business or a home?
That's my home, but I have an office there because, as you know, I've been here, away from home.
Right.
But I'm going to be in New Orleans. I've been here a year now, finishing up the book and getting it out, and I'm going to be back in New Orleans.
Okay,
so
that address one more time.
2400 Guadalcanal Street in Federal City behind Delgado on the West Bank.
Okay, very good. And that's February 21?
February 21st, 2 p.m.
Okay, got it. All right, folks. Great conversation with Darrell Sims. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to have a couple of things to share with you before we move on into the 8 o'clock hour. And, of course, we're going to have more coming your way. You want to stay tuned for another author that we'll be talking to. And as promised, we're going to have a internationally known New York Times journalist who's been in Minneapolis recently. So that's going to be good. All right. Talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. This is WBOK, 1230 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Hello, friend. Tavis Smiley here with a special announcement. You can catch my show at a new time. Weekdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Same great topics, same great guests, same great conversations, just a little earlier in the day. It's Tavis Smiley, weekdays 1 to 4 p.m. only on WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about.
Well, Saints of God, this is Pastor David Impartan Sr. coming to you over the airways of WBOK, your favorite host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. I want to invite you to our show every Saturday from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. That's Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. I want you to invite your family and friends to a broadcast that's designed to change your life, the way you think, the way you act, and what you eat. We want you to tune in every Saturday at 1 o'clock, WBOK, 12:30 a.m. See you on Saturday.
The Historic New Orleans Collection presents a new exhibition open through June 7th, 2026. The Trail They Blazed. Built collaboratively with people who participated in the local civil rights movement, The Trail They Blazed presents stories of social and racial justice straight from the people who lived them. Listen to leaders tell their stories of resistance and persistence in their own voices, recorded by the Historic New Orleans Collection. Plan your visit to 520 Royal Street in the French Quarter and reserve your free tickets at hnoc.org today.
Experience 2 nights of genre-blending music with the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation's Jazz and Heritage Concert Series, presented by Goldfarb Financial, happening at the George and Joyce Wynn Jazz and Heritage Center in New Orleans. See jazz vocalist Ingrid Lucia and the Good Troublemakers on Friday, January 16th at 8 p.m. Then, on Saturday, the 17th at 8 p.m., catch pianist-composer Lawrence Seabrist, Estralia Banda, with special guests Tommy Lowry and Bart Plateau. Expect a thrilling mix of jazz, classical, Afro-Cuban funk, and more. Tickets are $10 and available at jazzandheritage.org.
This is The Law in Your Legacy. I'm attorney Pete Hamilton.
I'm attorney Ryan Hamilton. Comparing the cost of will, successions, and trusts.
A will might only be a few $100s, but your family could end up paying more in legal fees.
Trust costs more upfront, but saves time, stress, and potentially thousands.
Think of it as paying a little now to avoid a big bill later. Smart planning means big savings for your family. This is not legal advice. That's just a tip brought to you by Liberty Bank and Trust. For more information, go to libertybank.net or contact us at 504-915-5016.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another open enrollment update. Who do I have on the line today?
Hi, you're speaking with Vanessa Scott of BSG of Louisiana.
Can you tell us a little bit about what is open enrollment?
The open enrollment period is for Medicare members that want to change from one plan to another.
Why is open enrollment so important?
Because a lot of people missed out on the annual enrollment period, so they need to have a one-on-one review.
And if you have questions or concerns about your Medicare plans, what should you do?
You just pick up the phone, call 504-621-3687. We even come out to your house. Zero cost to them.
Get with BSG of Louisiana for your Medicare review. For church groups, senior communities, or disability organizations, call 504-621-3687. We are an independent insurance agency providing information about Medicare-related insurance plans. We are not connected or endorsed by Medicare or the U.S. government.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by Lowe's.com. Code with Clossie is a nonprofit organization launched to help young women and non-binary teens break into coding. But as artificial intelligence advances, it could defeat the purpose of a coding boot camp like Code with Clossie. Osiami Okparia is CEO of Code with Clossie, and she told Bloomberg at a recent event that her initiative doesn't see itself as just teaching people how to code.
We're actually thinking more broadly than actually time spent hands-on keyboard producing code. There is a lot that you can learn from a set of skills that are durable and transferable when you learn to code. You're learning computational thinking. You're learning a way of solving problems, decomposing them. These are all skills that we believe are transferable to problem solving in any domain.
Code with Clossie is helping young women from all backgrounds get into fields where diversity is lacking. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Time is valuable. That's why Lowe's Blueprint Takeoffs turn blueprints into quotes faster. Bring us your plans, and we'll generate itemized material lists to make quoting easier so you can get back to building. Plus, at the Lowe's Pro Desk, you get access to thousands of building materials not sold in store. And when your order's ready, we'll deliver everything to the job site. Improving is easy at Lowe's.
WBOK New Orleans,
home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Congress faces another shutdown deadline Friday as Democrats push for limits on ICE. Chuck Schumer recently called ICE agents goons, a remark Florida Senator Ashley Moody slammed as a false narrative meant to sow chaos.
This is not about making sure that they get demands met. They want to shut down funding for DHS as a political statement.
The government remains funded only through February 13. A missing black mother from Memphis, Tennessee, LaWanda McGee, was found decomposing inside of her apartment, and her roommate has now been arrested. Police say McGee hadn't been seen for weeks, and her body was discovered after a welfare check. And the 49ers say 27-year-old defensive lineman Keon White was the victim of a non-life-threatening shooting early Monday in downtown San Francisco. White was shot in the ankle and is now recovering after undergoing surgery. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am Will Sutton, and this is WBOK's Good Morning Show. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. You're hearing my voice and the voice of others, and we certainly appreciate you giving us a bit of your time this morning. Of course, if you are on your way to work, medical appointment, or to play spades or bridge or whatever you do, please be careful out there as you drive because it's a school day. And there's a 20 miles per hour speed limit around the schools, and we don't need anybody hurt or injured. Let the kiddos get to school and get their education as they should. They need to be in school, but they can't get there if they're involved in an accident or worse. So please, please, please pay attention and get that done. Now we're going to move into a conversation with Dexter Hall. Dexter is joining us, and he is going to be talking about HUD and the housing cap. There's a HUD housing cap that some of you all might not be aware of, and talk about the potential impact. Mr. Hall is interim director of Providence Foundation. And welcome to the Good Morning Show, Dexter Hall. You're on with Will Sutton.
Good morning, Mr. Sutton. How are you today?
Fabulous, fabulous. How are you?
Listen, I am absolutely fantastic. Hate that we're talking about this particular subject in our country at this time when people are in so much need, and especially our children, as you just highlighted. But I think it's one that's important that people are aware of.
Well, it's an important issue. There are people who are housed, and there are a lot of people who are unhoused. And there are folks for whom housing is not an issue, that they have a lot of choices because money isn't an issue for them. But then there are those people who are looking for affordable housing. And so often we think about affordable housing and we think one group of people. But affordable housing can be something for people who make six figures as well. So tell us about where the U.S. Housing and Urban Development Department is at this point with housing. Bring us your perspective from Providence Foundation.
No, fantastic. Many may not be aware, if you're not watching the news, obviously you've heard of some of the big issues that are occurring in Congress. But however, we always have to remind ourselves that these departments, including the HUD department, the Housing and Urban Development Department, which kind of governs housing in America, also has a pen. I like to call it a pen. And with policy changes, that can bring about great changes across our communities, something that never went before Congress. In late 2025, HUD proposed what's called a 30% cap on funding of permanent supportive housing within what's known as a continuum of care. Continuum of care are organizations throughout America that HUD actually funds. These continuums of care, including cities like New Orleans, San Francisco, Waco, so it doesn't matter where you are, each city across America has what's known as a continuum of care. Typically, these continuums of care, to your point that you just made, utilize the funds that HUD delivered to them to fund upwards of 70% for permanent supportive housing. HUD's pen came out in late 2025 and said, hey, City of New Orleans, continuum of care, we no longer want to fund 70%. You can only fund it at 30% of the funds that we give you. And for a city like New Orleans, what that means is that that's a funding loss of approximately $15.2 million that is being utilized to support permanent supportive housing. Now, a judge has blocked that for now. And so it's not permanent, but a judge has blocked it, so it didn't go into effect. But if the judge removes that block that they put on it and those rules that HUD puts into effect, that would mean that cities like New Orleans would lose approximately 1,000 permanent supportive housing units.
Well, we have a great need for housing, and especially all types of affordable housing. So something like that would not be a good thing for this city.
No, absolutely. And I think, Will, again, you're framing at the very beginning, even as we talked about our children, being out for school, I always like to remind folks that these numbers are really just not abstract numbers. These numbers, when we think about these 940 units of housing that could be eliminated, that they represent families and elders and individuals who have fought their way back from the brink of homelessness or homelessness, to be able to get into permanent supportive housing. And many of these units, of course, also contain children. And so I think it's important to recognize across the spectrum as to what the face of this actually looks like. It's easy to say 15 million gone, 940 units gone, but what we're really talking about is people. And when it comes to an issue such as this is one of those issues where it doesn't matter where you are within the state of New Orleans. So whether you're in Lafayette or New Orleans, or whether you're in a blue state or a red state or a red area or a blue district, it does not matter. This is a relative number, meaning that this affects every single person across America. When you see cities like San Francisco could lose approximately 2,000 housing beds, but then when you go to Nashville, Tennessee, they could lose 615, or Mobile, Alabama, 275. And so it doesn't matter whether you go from a red state or a blue state or a red area or a blue area. This is something that could have detrimental impact to each and every community within the United States of America.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break, but don't go away, because we want to talk to you some more about this important issue. So hold on as we go to the break. We're in conversation with Dexter Hall from Providence Foundation, talking about the housing cap issue. Great concern for those people focused on that, but everybody really should be, because doesn't everybody want a home? You're listening to the Good Morning Show on WBOK, 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Good Wednesday morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. The Archdiocese of New Orleans says Pope Leo has officially accepted Archbishop Gregory Amon's resignation. Most Reverend James Checchia will hold his first Mass as Archbishop on Ash Wednesday at St. Louis Cathedral. The announcement comes after the Archdiocese announced Amon would retire at the conclusion of the bankruptcy case. We know Amon held his last meeting with the clergy sex abuse survivors yesterday. All right, parades kick off once again tonight. The crew of Druids will roll uptown at 6:15 p.m. with the crew of Allah following them. And then on the West Bank, the crew of Nandi rolls at 6 p.m. Be sure to download our free Parade Tracker app with front and back end tracking, plus new enhancements like location sharing and closest parking. All right, y'all, the Zulu Coronation Ball presented by Delta Utilities airs this Friday night at 7 on MeTV New Orleans and streaming live on Very Local and our website. That's WDSU.com. WDSU anchor Gina Swanson, along with Elizabeth Kubel, will be live from the ball. MeTV is channel 6.2 over the air, channel 108 for Cox, and 197 for Comcast. You don't want to miss, of course, the annual Zulu Ball. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day, and
Norman Robinson is back.
Can you hear me now?
And he's taking no prisoners.
Can you hear me now?
Each weekday, Norman Robinson brings you commentary with Off the Top.
The incident was shocking, disturbing, disgusting, disappointing, and sad.
Each weekday, Off the Top with Norman Robinson is heard exclusively right here.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 a.m.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here at WBOK. It is 12:15 a.m. If you got somewhere to be at 8:15, you're late. You're not going to make it. So the best you can do is roll on to the other side of the bed, grab that laptop, that phone, send an email, make a call or two, and say, boss, I'm at work, I'm on it. Otherwise, if you got somewhere to go, you need to be there at 8:30 or a little bit later. You just might make it depending on how prepared you are at this point. Make sure that you check for all the things that you need to take as you exit your home, your backpack, your lunch bag. If you do that, do you have your watch? Do you have your phone? And for those of us who need to look in the mirror. Do you have your teeth? You got them in? Got them with you? How about those glasses? All right. So make sure that you have everything you need, including the car keys, as you exit home. And please, please, please help the kiddos get to where they need to go. Driving safely. Be alert, because some folks out there are not. So I'm counting on you to do what you need to do. We're in conversation with Dexter Hall from Providence Foundation and talking about the HUD housing cap issue, where more than 170,000 people nationwide would lose perhaps all of their housing assistance or much of their housing assistance based on a HUD change with what they will allow for permanent housing, cutting it from 70 or 87% to 30%. And Mr. Hall, I just wanted to bring that up because I've seen a couple of different reports. One says 70%, another one says 87%. I've seen 70 most of the time. But any idea where that 87% number is coming from?
Absolutely, Mr. Sutton. The 70% is just kind of an average because depending upon the locale, some of the locations of cities, because remember this is money that funnels into every single city's what they call a continuum of care, which actually funds permanent supportive housing. Some jurisdictions utilize averaging 70%, some do utilize even more. So this has sometimes a more detrimental effect to some communities. And that's one of the reasons why I said that this is really not a partisan issue. This is not a blue or a red issue, because different communities utilize these funds differently because they've been allowed to be able to support what is needed for their particular community itself. And so when you have some smaller areas who may only need 100 permanent supportive housings, they may opt to utilize more of that money that comes from HUD to be able to fund that, because then that eliminates individuals from being unhoused. And then, of course, in larger areas like New Orleans or larger cities, they may only utilize a portion of it because they have a multi-pronged effect as to what it is that they're attempting to do to be able to move people from being unhoused to housed.
Okay. So, Mr. Hall, I want you to put on a different hat for a moment. I hear what you're saying. I'm quite concerned about this, as I think a number of other people are or would be as they learn about this. But let's say you were a high-level executive in the U.S. Housing and Urban Development. And you've been a part of the internal conversations. You've been a part of announcing a policy. You've been a part of saying this is the right way to go. What is their argument for taking assistance away from people?
Well, Mr. Sutton, I think how you frame this even to your audience of making sure that we've checked everything, our ears, our eyes, our glasses, and I even got my teeth in. Listen, I'm sitting in a room, and I'm one of those folks who believe that once you have a seat at the table, you got to know what to do with it. And so I love the framing of that question. And I would question the rationale behind upsetting communities. Why are we impacting communities across America in this particular manner, knowing that these funds are going to those who are most in need across our communities? In addition to that, my framing would also be within that same room is helping to understand and helping people to understand that this not only impacts the 170,000 families across America, but this impacts every single person within the community. And here's how. That number one is that as people become unhoused, we have to remember that we also push them back into shelters. We push them back into cars, and we push them back into encampments, things that you and I and many other folks across the nation have viewed and said, oh, my God, that's a shame. This should not happen, or I don't want to see it, or I don't want it in my backyard. And so it pushes people back into those circumstances. In addition to that, when it removes people from permanent supportive housing, it pushes people back into emergency rooms and hospital visits and obviously more crisis response. It helps to destabilize neighborhoods that are already stretched thin. And let's not forget, for you and I as individual taxpayers in whatever city across America, it now also begins to increase the cost for cities and states to be able to deal with these issues. Because again, the cities and the states are the ones who bear the burden once all the encampments and everything else begin to rise up again. Now, the last piece that I would frame to everyone is saying, well, let's take a look at the cost, because I think that if you want to talk about a cost element of this, permanent supportive housing, and this is an average across America, costs anywhere from about $18,000 to $25,000 per year. And so that's the amount that is being spent as it relates to permanent supportive housing. However, when you absolutely do nothing, meaning that you take those funds away from supporting people in permanent supporting housing, the costs begin to rise dramatically. And again, depending on the jurisdiction in which you're in. So the average cost then begin to rise to $35,000 to $60,000. And in cities like New Orleans, ER and emergency visits and utilization costs are even higher. So what you now begin to see is that cutting permanent supportive housing does not necessarily save money. It just basically shifts the bills. It shifts the bills to hospitals and police and cities and states to be able to caretake for these individuals who are no longer housed. They are now unhoused. And so you begin to see that this has a detrimental effect across every city, every jurisdiction, every individual within our communities itself. And then I asked the question to the leaders at the table running the meeting, tell me how this would be good for everyday Americans.
Okay. I hear you. And I'm not really one to wear a Trump hat. and I'm not the HUD Secretary, Scott Turner. But I'm going to kind of get closer to where I see them going and challenge you to answer this question. They seem to be arguing, and any of this inaccurate, correct me if I'm wrong. They seem to be arguing that we don't need to keep people in housing to help people get into housing. What we need to do, rather than focusing on housing, we need to focus on service. So those people, so many of them, have issues that we need to cap this program so we can move that money into mental health services, into treatment, into temporary shelters, as a way to help people get back on their feet and on a good path so that they can afford their own housing. Why not service first as opposed to housing first?
That's a great framing. And what you find is the evidence shows just the opposite. The evidence shows that when you house people first, in other words, when you create stability for an individual, and I think you can take a look at yourself, I can look at myself, and individuals can look at themselves, is that when you have stable housing first, that then allows you to begin to layer in the services that are needed for an individual to be able to move what I class from self-reliance to self-sufficiency. When you do the opposite of that, I can give you services. In other words, I can take you in and I can treat you for this, or I can give you this. But then the question then becomes, after I provided you with all of the services, are you stable enough now to be able to move from self-reliance to self-sufficiency? And what I submit to you is that if you have no place to stay, then that means that you're moving into a shelter, which is temporary, or you're couch surfing, which is also temporary and depends upon who you upset one day or another that you may be put out on the street, or you're now moving back into your cars, or you're moving into some type of an encampment. And when you look at the latter, all of those create an even more unstable environment for that individual who just fought through drug addiction, who just went through treatments for various behavioral health or mental health issues. And so now, would that not compound the issues that you once had when every day you're trying to decide where you're going to sleep, what are you going to eat, and all of those things that I say that we all need from a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, those basic needs of shelter and food, that when you don't have those first, then that continues to create an unstable environment, and then that begins to erode all of the treatment that you just went through to be able to get to a position of self-sufficiency.
Okay.
And so I submit back to you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We're going to need to wrap this up and move on, but I know there are a number of people in our WBOK family of listeners who were already interested in this, or because you've come on, they're now interested. Where can they find more information about this issue? How can they find more about the Providence Foundation? And how can they contact you if that's possible?
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Will, and I appreciate you really, really diving into this deep issue where folks have to understand and recognize that it's not just about the laws that are passed, but it's the departments who also have a pen in their hand that have the ability to be able to change rules that basically impact their everyday life. You can find me, Dexter Hall, every single day. You can go to our website at providencesf.org, providencesf.org. And there you'll be able to find my link right there, and you can engage with me as well as contact us for more about this particular issue and other issues as it relates to individuals who are unhoused. Because once again, we keep reminding individuals when it comes to housing folks, it isn't a blue state or a red state issue, it's a human stability issue. And so whether you're in San Francisco, Knoxville, Miami, Mobile, or even New Orleans, families who fought their way back from homelessness could be pushed right back into crisis. And when housing is destabilized, every single neighborhood feels the impact.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And folks, you have the contact information and where to look up Mr. Hall, the Providence Foundation, and learn more about this issue. Thank you for enlightening us this morning, Dexter. Appreciate your time. Lord's blessings to you, and have a fabulous day.
You too, Will. And let me go make sure I got my teeth in.
All righty. All right, folks, great conversation with Dexter Hall. If you didn't know about that housing cap, now you do, and it's going to affect more than 170,000 people, depending on how you calculate it, and possibly even up to 200,000 folks, including folks in New Orleans and Louisiana. It is 8:28 a.m. If you got somewhere to be at 8:30, you better slide on over to the other side of the bed, grab that laptop, fire it up, make sure that you can send off email, follow up on the messages that you meant to follow up on yesterday, wink, 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 and make sure that you are otherwise on your way to work with everything that you need. Watch out for our babies and our kiddos on their way to school. School zones are still in effect until 9 a.m. That's 20 miles per hour, people, not 26 and not 29 and certainly not 36. They'll be watching. Talk line 504-582-9422. This is WBOK, 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
The warm weather continues. As we go throughout the afternoon, expect partly cloudy skies. Yes, mostly cloudy first, eventually start to see more clearing. Highs today about 75 to 79 degrees. We'll see a few spotty showers for the afternoon. For tonight, 52 to 58 degrees. Another chance for some fog to develop. For tomorrow, a high 70 to 75. And then for the weekend, looking at rain, mostly for Saturday night into early Sunday morning. For the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Reed.
This is Monica Pierre along with Sally Ann Roberts Daybone, co-host of Your Power is On.
Tune in Sunday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m. for music that feeds the spirit. Get your Sunday on.
Right here on WBOK 1230 AM and WBOK1230.com, the station you listen to all day long.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month from the community scientist and Rise St. James. This month's focus is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, formed when fuels like oil, gas, wood, or trash are burned. These chemicals can enter the air we breathe and settle into our soil and water. Many PAHs are known carcinogens, adding to the health burdens faced by communities living near industry. Learn how to protect your health at risestjames.org.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Louisiana's Julia Letlow. What do they have in common? Liberal Julia Letlow voted with Joe Biden more than any other Louisiana Republican in the U.S. House. And just like Nancy Pelosi, Letlow has traded hundreds of stocks while serving in Congress. Worse, Letlow violated federal insider trading laws by failing to report her shady stock trades, potentially millions of dollars worth. But that's not all. Before she went to Congress, liberal Julia Letlow was a university bureaucrat. She instituted radical DEI policies, woke sensitivity training, and the university put up a public art display honoring Defund the Police activists. Is that what Louisiana wants in the U.S. Senate? Conservatives just can't trust liberal Julia Letlow. Louisiana Freedom Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. LouisianaFreedomFund.org.
Saturday, February 14th, join WBOK for a special LCMC Health edition of Keeping You Well Cafe. Meet me, Kimber White Dupree, Endymion Saturday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. outside the University Medical Center. I'll be broadcasting live in front of the parade route, and a special team of medical professionals will be stopping by, ready to give you tips to keep you healthy this carnival season. Don't miss this special edition of LCMC Health, Keeping You Well Cafe, and WBOK Broadcasting live on Saturday, February 14th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. LCMC Health, tomorrow starts here.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK, 1230 a.m. Good conversation about the housing cap, something that maybe some of you all didn't know, and I learned a little bit more. I knew about some of it, but learned some more. That's one of the wonderful things that happens on the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK. And as promised earlier in the show, we have award-winning New York Times food correspondent Brett Anderson in the studio with us today. Yes,
I'm honored. I'm honored.
He is here, and you might wonder, how can the New York Times have somebody in New Orleans working for the New York Times? Well, there's a backstory to that, too. Because you didn't always work for the New York Times.
This is true.
And you didn't always live in New Orleans.
This is also true.
So who your mama in there, Brett? I mean, tell us about your family, your background. Who are you?
Well, I am Brett Anderson. I moved to New Orleans in a little over 25 years ago, in 2000. And I moved here to become the restaurant critic and a feature writer at the Times-Picayune. And I moved here from Washington, D.C., but I am originally from Minnesota. I was born and raised up there. And
A lot of stuff going on over there.
there's quite a bit of stuff going on up there, as it turns out. And I moved here to be the restaurant critic. I worked at the Times-Picayune for almost 20 years. I left in 2019 to join the New York Times after there were some changes at the Picayune and the Advocate merged.
Yeah.
And but I never moved. I still live in the Marigny, as I have since I moved to town. I've got a couple kids in public school here. Neither my wife or I are from here, but as they say, our kids are.
Yeah. Right.
It sort of changes the dynamic a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's our home.
Yeah. And with 20, 25 years, you are well on your way to
I've officially
being here.
I just tipped over into living here longer than I've lived anywhere else.
Hey, there you go.
I had lived in my total time in Minnesota, I think, was about 24 years or something like that, 22 years. So, I'm a New Orleanian at this point.
Yeah. Well, Brett, you and I share something in common because we both were at Harvard at different times for the prestigious Nieman Fellowship.
That's true.
And I know my year, as so many say, was one of the best years of my life. It's a heck of a thing for a journalist to go there and face no deadlines.
It was the best year of my life, and my wife's too. She came with me and got to do a lot of the stuff there.
Add-on. It's
really,
like you have a spouse, you have a partner, they can come too.
It's amazing. I'm actually working on a recommendation for a Nieman right now.
Very good. Very good. So you have been a food writer, food critic, features writer, and part of what I want people to know is that perhaps those might be the current titles, but sometimes people think of reporters in different categories, but a bunch of your work been investigative, my man. Feature's supposed to be soft. You've been kind of hard on some people and some things in your career, and I'll leave that there just for a little bit of context because you recently returned from Minneapolis, and you have connections to Minneapolis and Minnesota.
Correct. I was up in Minneapolis for about almost a week, but 6 days. I got home, last Wednesday or Thursday, I think it was. And I went up to go look into this community-wide effort there to feed the people who are too scared to leave their homes because of the ICE occupation. Mm-hmm. I had obviously been following the news up there pretty closely. I'd like to think I would have done that even if I wasn't from there, but the fact that I'm from there, I think, kind of intensified and underscored my attention to the news there. And I just got to thinking on the weekend that Alex Preddy was killed. I just started thinking about, I guess, two things. One was that after Hurricane Katrina, I reported on that. I didn't write a restaurant review for 3 years. And one of the feelings that experience gave me as a journalist is how useful you can be just by being another pair of eyes. And after I saw that video and I saw the immediate response from the powers that be, who were describing a man who, on tape, had been outnumbered, overwhelmed, disarmed, pinned to the ground, and then shot in the back as an assassin. Something about that really flipped a switch in me. That the information coming out of Minnesota that a lot of people were getting is really bad. And that just kind of put a little, something switched on inside of me that I could be of some use in some abstract way. And that is something I came to learn and experience when I was a restaurant critic covering Hurricane Katrina. The other thing is I was thinking about what it would be like to raise a kid in Minneapolis. it's not hard for me to imagine because I'm from there. My nieces and nephews went to public school in that area. If I didn't live here, the chances are I'd probably, there'd be a decent chance I'd be raising kids there. And reflecting on not just what's happening with the Operation Metro Surge, I think it's called, but, it was last fall, there was a shooting at a school there, Annunciation Academy, not far from where all this other stuff has been taking place in South Minneapolis, not far from where my sister lives. The shooter in that case was someone who was a classmate of one of my nieces at one point. I know a lot of people that went to Annunciation Academy. And then you think back to George Floyd and COVID and how hard it was for COVID being a parent, but imagine having George Floyd layered on top of that. And we didn't, we wouldn't have known about George Floyd if it weren't for a student from Roosevelt High School filming it. Roosevelt High School is the school that ICE visited, to use a polite word, on the same day that they killed Renee Good. And all of that stuff was swirling in my head, and I thought, I wonder what the people in schools are doing about all this, and I knew that there is a free breakfast and lunch program in Minnesota that people are sort of proud of. And my first instinct was to find people whose profession it is to get people fed in schools, to see if they were doing anything out of the ordinary to address just the atmosphere in Minneapolis. In my head, I was like, I wonder if they have the agency to make lunchtime and breakfast time, to use a phrase, kind of a cliched phrase, like even more of a safe space for these kids. Yeah. And then what I very soon found out after my first phone call really was that, kids aren't coming to school.
Right.
There's a lot of kids that aren't going to school. And the challenge there is that these people in schools really know that, particularly if they have a population that is lower income, they really know how much those families depend on the free lunch and the free breakfast. And so that's kind of where my repertorial focus was at the beginning. Like, okay, you're set with this set of challenges. You're presented with this set of challenges. What do you do now? And because I'm a food writer,
right.
that it became something that was in my field of reporting.
So one of the things you found, according to your story, is these kind of secret grocery operations. Secret, so often we think of secret as a bad thing, reason you want to hide it or something like that. But in this case, it's more about safety.
It is about safety. And that was, I have to say, the most striking thing that I personally experienced in this reporting trip was the intensity of the fear felt in the community. And it is, of course, felt most acutely by immigrants of color for obvious reasons, because that's the intended effect. I don't think there's any arguing that.
Right.
And but it's also felt by the people who are stepping up to try to help them, because it's commonly known and been observed that ICE is targeting food distribution sites to try to follow volunteers. It's known that in that community of volunteers that ICE has been collecting license plates of people that go to protests, and that are doing this volunteer work to try to use them as leads to find people who are in their homes and who won't leave. And so, I've covered a fair amount of these efforts to feed a lot of people in tough situations. Hurricane Katrina, the BP oil spill, obviously COVID. The crucial difference here is that there are armed agents that are cross purposes with that project. And that was really a striking thing to get my arms around. And so when we say secret, it's not as though we have, photographs of some of these operations in the story. They're publicly known, but the work that they do has to be done with this veil of secrecy. There's a cloak and dagger aspect to the operation. People who volunteer at many of the churches and the schools and the sort of food shelf type operations that I spoke to have to go through training. You can't just show up and
I want to help.
Yeah, and say I want to help. I mean, they want your help, but you have to go through training. It was very difficult for me to be able to get access to some of these folks, many of whom I've known for decades. I had friends that were volunteers and stuff like that, but they had so much reason to be wary of kind of tricks used by agents. I mean, that, I understood why they were scared, but I met a city council person in a public space who wouldn't start talking to me until I showed him all my identification. There are, that happened multiple times.
Yeah.
And, one of the most striking details that's in the story is that people who did work for this one particular church, that has a mostly Latin American congregation, they only would give you the addresses of the places you were going to on a slip of paper because they had reason to believe, it's publicly known that the FBI has been infiltrating signal chats. That's an app that you can, a safe sort of quote unquote app that you can use to communicate with people in the same way you might use WhatsApp or something like that. And so in response, people doing this work are really careful about not putting addresses into those apps because they don't want, ICE agents who've infiltrated the chats to know the addresses of the people that they're trying to help. And so the solution to that is that they give people these slips of paper, and then they're instructed that if they get pulled over by ICE, to eat the piece of paper. Or, if you don't like the sounds of that, I guess you're advised to keep a cup of coffee in the car and then just dunk it in the coffee. But, that was all really remarkable stuff in a literal sense. And so that's kind of the thrust of the piece that I reported is to try to bring to light both the need in the community for food delivery and also the complexity of the community right effort to get people food.
Yeah, I think you did a marvelous job with this very challenging, difficult, hostile situation, and found a good balance to do the reporting and include things in your report without kind of upsetting what they're trying to do. I'm really curious about how you all decided about using photos at all, and then which photos to use, because these folks are being so careful, as you mentioned earlier. What was your decision making like with your editors?
Well, that was very challenging. Unlike any story I'd worked on before, it involved a lot of different people, and it involved me getting there and being on the ground and establishing trust for a period of time, which for a story that was on a tight deadline, created some bureaucratic challenges at the times. Like, who are we going to shoot here, Brett? And I'm like, well, I don't really know yet. I've met people, but they're already apprehensive about me. I don't want to spring a photo assignment on them. But so basically we went with organizations. In the instance of the story, we've got a couple of schools, public schools, who are publicly known to be doing this work. And a grocery store in Northeast Minneapolis, where one of the families, a member of the family that owns it, stands outside the grocery store for 11 hours a day to sort of stand guard. He's a former combat Marine, and all of those people were comfortable with it. But there were a lot of restrictions in terms of, you'll notice, particularly at one of the schools where we shot, there's virtually no people in the photographs because they don't want volunteers to be exposed, and I wrote along with a handful of different volunteers, none of whom wanted me to use their names. I do quote one using her first name in the piece. but we didn't take a picture of her. And I also, that particular source in the story, her name is Gabriella, she actually did a lot of work that in the journalism trade, it's kind of what fixers do. Before I got up there, she's someone who we happen to have common friends. She's married to someone I knew in like fourth grade.
Yeah,
and
right.
So she trusted me, and she went out to talk to some of the people she'd been giving food to ask them if they would be willing to speak to me, because I thought it was really important to try to get the voices of people who are receiving the services. And that obviously poses the greatest dangers and requires the most trust, right? And I couldn't have done that without her.
Yeah, well, challenging thing that would have been an entirely different story if you were there for a day and a half. I would.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have been able to do it.
Something different. So often, public officials in particular will say, "Oh, some reporter is parachuting in here and doing it," but in this case, it's a community you're very familiar with, and fortunately, you work for the New York Times and you see the importance of something like this, and you were able to have not a few hours to make sure you make your plane and your connection, but several days.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't buy a return
dig in.
trip. I didn't buy a return trip. I flew up there not because I knew I wasn't sure how long I would stay. And I under normal circumstances, I'm usually wearing a Minnesota North Stars baseball cap.
Yeah, right.
Or if it's cold, a Timberwolves stocking cap. So that I don't know. I sort of blended in.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Well, that story published this week on NewYorkTimes.com, and you can find it there. I know it's not the easiest thing for everybody to get the print edition of the New York Times, but it is available.
It's available, and that story is in the print edition today, I should add.
Yeah, and it is available. So if you want to grab a copy of the New York Times and take your time with it, feeling that newsprint, you can read Brett's story in the print edition today, and it's been online, and that is Hungry Families, Ice, and Secret Grocery Networks in Minneapolis. For those of you who look it up online, you can do that, but if you want to read it,
please do. Please do.
There's a subscription matter you have to deal with. But you certainly can pick up the print edition. Brett, wonderful work.
Thank you, Will.
Really good story, incredible story, and a different angle that I hadn't been thinking about it that way. So it really made me think about the situation in a different way. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Will. Thanks for having me on.
And so for those folks who want to read this story, they can go online or they can find it in print. If they want to see some of your other work or they want to contact you, how can they do that?
Well, you can Google Brett Anderson, New York Times, and it'll bring up my author page, and that has all my stories on there, links to all my stories, and it'll also have my email address. You can also find me on Instagram. BrettyA1, I think, is my handle. You'd message me there. If if you want to see the story, I got some gift links I can send out. The first 8 people.
First 8 people.
I think I've got 8 left or something. Right. Shoot me a message.
All right. You hear it right from the author, the reporter, the investigative features reporter, food critic, writer, and award-winning journalist, Brett Anderson. We appreciate you joining us today. We're going to have to move on into a break, and then we'll be wrapping up the show, making room for the front porch. Great conversation with Brett Anderson. The talk line is 504-582-9422. I'm Will Sutton, and this is WBOK, 1230 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
I'm Leo Jackson, host of Sunday Gospel here every Sunday morning, 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. and 12 o'clock till 2 p.m. You don't want to miss this move of God. It happens only on WBOK. You listen to all day long.
Hi, I'm Imani Godan, founder of GoDance. GoDance is a nonprofit interdisciplinary dance organization rooted in New Orleans, providing access to dance education and sustainable, wellness-centered art practices. Right now, you can be a part of this work by participating in our Key to Your Heart house raffle. Our programs are open, inclusive, and community-centered, supporting artists, students, and creatives at every stage. Your involvement helps expand access, education, and opportunity for artists of all ages. To learn more and get involved, visit GoDance, GAUDANSE.org.
Experience 2 nights of genre-blending music with the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation's Jazz and Heritage Concert Series, presented by Goldfarb Financial, happening at the George and Joyce Wynn Jazz and Heritage Center in New Orleans. See jazz vocalist Ingrid Lucia and the Good Troublemakers on Friday, January 16th at 8 p.m. Then, on Saturday, the 17th at 8 p.m., catch pianist-composer Lawrence Seabrist, Estrella Banda, with special guests Tommy Lowry and Bart Plateau. Expect a thrilling mix of jazz, classical, Afro-Cuban funk, and more. Tickets are $10 and available at jazzandheritage.org.
This is The Law in Your Legacy. I'm attorney Pete Hamilton.
I'm attorney Ryan Hamilton. Comparing the cost of wills, successions, and trusts.
A will might only be a few $100s, but your family could end up paying more in legal fees.
Trust costs more upfront, but saves time, stress, and potentially thousands.
Think of it as paying a little now to avoid a big bill later. Smart planning means big savings for your family. This is not legal advice. That's just a tip brought to you by Liberty Bank and Trust. For more information, go to libertybank.net or contact us at 504-915-5016.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. What's left of it, and thank you so much for giving us some of your time. If you're just tuning in, you're at the end of the Good Morning Show, and up next is the Front Porch with Kimba on the Front Porch. She'll be in shortly for the Front Porch coming up next. Lord willing, I'll be back and blessed to be here tomorrow morning. But what a great show today, talking about business, talking about the HUD's housing cap, talking about what's happening in Minneapolis. Just ended that conversation with my friend Brett Anderson from the New York Times. Fascinating story. You definitely want to read it. I'm actually going to read it again. Because I mean, there's kind of nuances in.
There's a lot in there.
Yeah, it's like, and you know, in the journalism world, it's like this is not your 10-inch story. I mean, and so yes, it's of some length, but it's such good and rich content, and I appreciate it as a reader, and glad you had a chance to share some with our WBOK family of listeners.
It's my pleasure.
All right. Folks, we are going to get up and out of here, make room for the Front Porch. They are coming up next. This is WBOK, 1230 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about all day long.